Oh, right. Okay. So last week we talked about factoring. The idea if we had something like, let's say we had this right here. 2x squared plus 7x plus 3, and that's an x and a y. All right. And we would factor that. We start off by trying to divide something, which in this case we can't. But then we'll say, hey, we'll put up parentheses. And think, what are two things that multiply to the left and two things that multiply to the right? So what are two things that multiply to 2? What multiplies to 2? 2 times 1. So we can just do a 2x and an x, because 2x times x is x squared. What about the 3? What are two things that multiply to 3? 3 times 1. Okay, so you have an option. Do I want to put the 3 here, or do I want to put the 3 there on the right? What do you think? Well, if you remember the way we check, it's outside, inside, adds up to the middle. So it's kind of that whole rainbow, outside and inside. So do you want to do, if we're getting up to a 7, do you want to do 2 times 3? Or do you want to do 2 times 1? What do you think? Probably 2 times 3. And again, we check. Move it over. 2 times 3 is 6, so 6x, and that's a plus sign right there. And then the inside, 1 times x is x, and those add up to 7. So that means this is the correct combination. Okay? So that's what we did last week to kind of clear up everything, get everyone ready to go and everything like that. Today we're going to start using that. So we've talked about adding functions, subtracting functions, multiplying functions. Today we're going to talk about dividing functions. Okay? So f divided by g. And we're literally going to take the f function and put it over the g function. The difference is we're going to have to factor everything. Okay? That's the difference. So like letter A, if I were going to factor that, we're still going to put h of x is f over g. So h of x equals, let's do the top one. Can I divide anything out of that one up there? Paul, can you hit the right light switch? Paul, can you hit the right switch? Turn the lights off. All right. Can you divide anything out of this? Are there any x's to give? No. That one doesn't have an x. Can I divide anything out of the numbers? Technically, they're all prime. I can't divide anything out of those at all. So let's just stick up your parentheses and go. It's driving me crazy. There we go. Much better. All right. So here we go. Do. What are two things that multiply up to 2? 2 and 1, so 2x and x. What are two things that multiply up to 1? Don't overthink this one. 1 times 1, okay. Those really are your only options. And again, the outside, inside. What if we did the outside, what is 2 times 1? 2. What's 1 times 1? Those add up to 3? Those add up to your middle term? Okay, cool. So we know that's right. And then we'll do the bottom. So that's your top. And then we'll put the bottom up there. 2x plus 1. Okay, so that's the setup. You got to factor everything. We'll put everything up there. So the question, do you see the same things on top and bottom? What do they both have? A 2x plus 1, so that can cancel out. What are you left with? X plus 1. So, h of x equals x plus 1. And that's it. That makes sense? All right. All you're doing is factoring everything, which most of the time is not too much, 1 or 2 items. And then we're canceling out if you see the same thing on top and bottom. Okay? Do you think you can do letter B? I think you can. Even you. Or where is it? All right, get to it. Do letter B. Take a second. Do letter B. But then we also had an x plus 1 on bottom, so we just cancel them out. Okay? And that's it. So really the hard part this canceling. No. Solving the problem is actually not hard. The hard part is just getting the factors out there. Okay? Alright, so let's look at letter C. Let's look at letter C real quick. So yeah, this is supposed to be a G. And if you look down at letters E and F, those are supposed to be F on top, G on bottom. Same thing with letter F. F on top, G on bottom, that sort of thing. Huh? No, I didn't even notice it. I was just typing away and didn't even notice I didn't do it. And when I worked them out, I didn't even notice they weren't there when I double checked it. So there you go. All right, so letter C. Let's start this way. Can you? There's no x squared here, but can you divide something out? What? A 3. So let's go ahead and do it. My h of x, and I'm going to divide out a negative 3. Just because I like the first one to be positive, I find I get more. So what's negative 6 divided by negative 3? Negative or positive? Positive 2, so 2x. What's 21 divided by negative 3? Negative 7. Cool? No. All right. We literally just started off by dividing. We divided out a negative 3 and got 2 and negative 7. All right, G. Can you divide anything out of letter G? What? 2 and 2. All right, so we can divide 2. We can divide 2. Can you divide 2 out of 49? No. You got to go all the way across. All right, I was honestly thinking, I can divide 4 out, and then I realized, I can't do it there. I almost said 4, I'll be honest with you. All right, so here we go. Let's put up our parentheses. And let's start with the left. What are 2 things that multiply to 4? 2 and 2. What else? 1 and 4. So what do you want to try? 2 and 2 or 1 and 4? Let me give you a hint. You notice these are meant to be canceled out, right?
Yeah.
Notice how the top one is 2x? So you're probably going to get a 2x minus 7 on bottom. Just saying. All right? So let's go with that guess. It might be wrong. So we got 2x times 2x on the bottom. All right, let's look at the right. What are 2 things that multiply to 49? 7 and 7. Now, it's positive, so they have to be the same. Yeah, but they're multiplying to a negative 28, right? So they're probably both what? Positive or negative? They're probably going to be both negative. That's where I say this type of stuff is probably the message we've had more than anything. That's what it is. You got to deal with the negatives. All right, so here we go. Outside, inside. What is 2 times negative 7? What is negative 7 times 2? What does that add up to? Is that what we want? This means yes. This means no. This means kiss my butt. All right, there we go. So here we go. Can you cancel anything out?
Yes.
What? Good. You see 2x minus 7 is on top and the bottom. Now question. Can I cancel all 3 of them out? Actually, no. I can only cancel out 2 of them. All right? It's top to bottom, 1 to 1. Okay? So because there's only 1 on top, I can only do 1 on bottom. All right? If there were 2 on top, then yeah, I can do 2 on bottom. Does that make sense? All right, it's 1 to 1. I did this one on purpose. No, that's not your answer. So your answer is h of x equals... Is there anything left on top? Negative 3. What's on bottom? 2x minus 7. Now question. Let's say that negative 3 is not there. Let's say there wasn't a negative 3. And I just had the 2x minus 7 on bottom. What would go on top? A 1. Okay? Because there needs to be that placeholder. Now, like, we don't need to... If the answer is 2, I don't have to write over 1 as a placeholder. But if the answer is 2 on bottom, I have to have the 1 on top as a placeholder to show that it's a fraction. Does that make sense? It's the same type of thing here. If you don't have a numerator, but you got a denominator, you got to have a 1 up there. Cool? I know, this is life-changing. Y'all are just riveted beyond belief. All right, I'm gonna do one more, and then we're gonna probably do a homework exam, do an example at the other side, and get going. Because I think y'all just need to get going at this point. Let's see what you can do. All right, letter E. Letter E. Your f of x. Again, this is not f of x. H of x equals the f divided by g. So can I divide anything out of f of x, the top one? I can't divide a number out, but they both have letters. Yeah, they both have x's. This one has how many? 2. This one has how many? 1. So how many x's can I divide out of those? 1. So we'll pull out an x. 2x squared divided by x is 2x. Good. Negative 3x divided by x is negative 3. All right. That trips people out still. It's one of the easier things to do, but it just trips people out. Think of it like this. It's 2x squared minus 3x. They both have x's, right? So I straight up divided out an x. Those ones canceled out. And just think, subtract your exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that's where we got that one from. Cool? All right, let's do the bottom. Can I divide anything out of the bottom? Yeah, they've all got x's. They've all got x's. Can you divide out a number? No. So let's divide it an x. And then so this one divided by x would leave me 2x to the what? 2. Cool. This one divided by x would be 5 what? Good, 5x. And this one would leave us with what? Negative 12. All right, I'm going to pause. Do you have any questions as far as what we've done with this at all? All right, does the bottom one have an x squared still? Yeah, so let's go one step further. All right. What are 2 things that multiply to 2? 2 and 1, good. What are 2 things that multiply to 12? 6 and 2, what else? 4 and 3. So question. If we're trying to get back to a 5, do you think you want to do, well, try this one. What do you want to do? You want to do the 6 and 2 first, or do you want to do the 4 and 3 first? Which one do you want to try? 4 and 3. Okay, so if we're trying to get back to 5, do you think you want to do 2 times 3 or 2 times 4? 2 times 4? All right, so we'll try it that way. And it's a negative 12, so one of them's got to be negative. You want the 3 to be negative? I think a few people have already figured this one out. All right, so outside, inside. 2 times 4 is? Negative 3 times 1 is? Okay, so what's 8 minus 3? 5. Is that the term you want? Yes. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark out that one because I just factored it down to this. Cool. Now do you see anything that cancels out? The 2x minus 3's cancel out. Yeah, you see those x's out front? Those go away too. Exactly. So h of x equals, there's nothing on top, so we got to put the 1, x plus 4. And that's your answer. How are we doing this? Give me 5 to 1. 5, I got this. 4, I'm okay. 3, and 2, I'm lost. Sweet. All right, so word problems real quick. Let's do that real quick. So, because your homework is going to have a few of them. So here's basically what's going to happen with this. I'm going to do example 2. We're going to do example 2, the second one. They're basically going to give you 2 functions, and the situation is going to require that you divide them for whatever reason, because it's a division section, right? All right, so you can expect that. But here we go. So Sierra is building a large rectangular pen in her backyard for her new puppy to play safely. So she's building a pen. So she needs fence. She's calculating the area using A equals blah. The width is calculated by using W equals whatever. In both cases, X is measured in feet. Write a function to represent the length of the pen in feet. All right, so we're talking about a rectangular. What's the formula for a rectangle? Area equals what? Length times width. Length times width. All right, so the final question, what are they asking you to find? The area, the length, or the width? The length. Okay, so if I'm trying to get this one alone, what do I need to divide by? L or W? The W. The W is what's being, I need to get rid of, so I'm going to divide by W. Huh?
So, it's going to be just like the other one, but the X plus 5 would be the X squared plus 17.
Good. So the length is whatever the area is divided by the width. That'll get me the length. Cool? So the hard part was deciding what you needed to do. Beyond that, it's just like what we did earlier. So your area is this. Right? So I'll just say 3x squared plus 17x plus 10. Oops. Divided by your width, x plus 5. All right? Now let's factor that puppy. I'll zoom in and factor it so I can write a little bit better. All right? What are two things that multiply to 3? 3 times 1. All right, what are two things that multiply to 10? 2 and 5, okay. So what do you think to get the 17? Are you going to do 2 times 5 or 2 times 2? Or 3 times 2? 3 times 5, right. Sorry, I said that backwards. All right, so let's check it. 3 times 5 is? 2 times 1 is? Those add up to? Is that what you want? Great! So I'll scratch that one out. Do you see anything that cancels out? The x plus 5. So, the length, which this was L of x, so the length equals what? 3x plus 2. All your word problems are going to work like this in some form or another. It is probably going to be an area problem of one type or another, but you're just going to have to divide one by the other. Cool, and reduce it. Any questions?
No.
Comments, concerns, public service announcements?
No.
Limericks? Dumb jokes?
Yeah.
Good jokes? All right, let's go. Be done with it.